YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to another YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back here together again, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a retro ranking for all 13 films I watched in the month of October that are retro, that were not released this year. So let's go and get started reviewing all 13 of these movies. So this is the Halloween film that I checked out for Halloween today, and it was fine. It does a great job of doing horror and slasher stuff, but then it just kind of goes a little weird, and I don't really like the performances of the humans or the people, and it is kind of cool for an idea of a movie being played on a TV, and that's really what the film is. But besides that, it was probably the only film I just didn't really like this month, so it comes in last. Now, obviously, I checked out the Jordan Peele films this past month, and I watched Nope. I missed it last year, and I actually had a good time with it. The fact that it was like inspired from like Jaws and this alien, the first encounter of an aliens, and all this stuff, it was kind of interesting, but like the whole thing of like the popping and then like, I think the usage of sound in the movie was really good, but it almost was like, what is going on with all these sounds? And I think Jordan Peele does a great job of like making scenes feel uncomfortable, but at the same time it's like, it's not simple in the way this movie does, because it's like, maybe I need to watch First Encounters of the Third Kind to maybe understand where that part of the film was coming from. I thought the Gordy scenes were pretty spectacular, though. Like, I wish that was just the whole movie where you actually get a rampage chimpanzee. Like, that would be a spectacular film, and seeing that come to light, which I thought that was, like, based on real events, and they were telling the story of the chimpanzee that went rogue and bit all that girl's face up. No, it was just for the film, because he reacted from balloons popping. But besides that, it's easily my least favorite of Jordan Peele's films, but that's all I really have to say about Nope. Okay, so this is pretty much every other movie on this list I actually tend to really like. So Invisible Man Returns, it's not bad, it's just there's better movies on this list. And I thought this was actually a pretty good sequel to the original Invisible Man, as you have this story where the first film was able to lend itself of being this Invisible Man story where where you're able to have fun with him being invisible. But with the sequel, we get to dive a little bit deeper that his invisibility is a sickness, and I really enjoyed that throughout the entire movie. Like, you don't get to have fun with him being invisible. You actually make him a character you care about, and then by the time you get to the end of the movie, he turns visible again. And that to me is such a great arc. I would say Invisible Man is my favorite character of the Universal monster films, because he has a great arc of being this man that could that was invisible, and then he turns invisible by the end of the second film. I thought this movie was good. The reason why it's at number 11 is just because there's just better movies that came out that I watched this past month, but still, overall, really good film. Alright, so now we're talking about the top 10 with the first Hunger Games film, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought Jennifer Lawrence was great in the movie. I thought some of the action was kind of cool, and the introduction to this world with the districts and the games and what this means for people, and it sounds like a nice idea. Granted, it's based off a book, but it's pretty cool, so I enjoyed it. The second Hunger Games film, I think, is a pretty good sequel. It expands more on the world and the more districts and the past winners of the games, and it introduces a bunch of cool new characters, as well as has a great cast, and it even has some better action sequences that I thought were pretty good. and kind of relatable stuff with like the drinking of the water and everything. So, and then you get to that big cliffhanger where you realize there was never District 12. So, excited for Mockingjay 2 for Mockingjay Part 1 this week. Can't wait to watch it. Really liked the first 2 Hunger Games films. So I finally watched the Oscar pick for Parasite that won Best Picture in 2019, I believe. And this was a good movie. I would definitely say it's very well acted. It had some nice family moments. There was definitely a lot of urgency within each scene. My big issue here is I watched this on their website, and it had subtitles, but I couldn't change the language. And usually, most of the films I watch are in English. And so, sometimes I tend to listen to movies, but I'm still paying attention. And so this was like a movie that I honestly had to pay attention to, while also reading the subtitles. That was kind of a little bit weird that was a little bit frustrating for me, but I still enjoyed the movie and I still liked it. Alright, now we have Us, the second Jordan Peele film. Easily the best thing about this movie are the performances of Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke. And coming off a year from doing Black Panther and playing these Wakandans from the Marvel Universe, this movie just absolutely shows what they can do with acting, where you have Lupita Nyong'o going in and saving her family from these other versions of them, and then likewise playing a other version of herself that's just so creepy, like, once upon a time. And after watching this movie, it makes me 10 times more excited for what they're going to do with the Quiet Place prequel, because she's going to be in that movie. Plus, that movie also takes place in New York City. Quiet Place Day 1, it's going to take place before A Quiet Place movies, the first 2. And basically, you're basically seeing how that happened in the city. And so to me, it's going to be a very exciting adventure to see how she handles that. Maybe we'll actually get a family. We'll get like an Us, sort of like the Us film of A Quiet Place, except we're not having monsters look like Lupita Nyong'o. We're having Lupita Nyong'o protect her family. That's the thing I'm excited for. Winston Duke was also he could play the funny dad, but then when he plays his other version of himself, it was like very kind of creepy and inducing. The kids kind of play creepy parts into it too. The way that Jordan Peele directs his films are great. And some of the kills in here were actually pretty brutal. The big problem that I had with this movie is that the exact story as to how these people were created, they got this cloth, they got all these scissors, it's not clear as to how they all got them. As to how there are other versions of every person on the earth with this stuff. Besides that, I think it's actually pretty good, and I think people need to... I want to rewatch this movie before I watch A Quiet Place Day 1. I have Glass Onion. I checked out the Knives Out films, and I thought Glass Onion was a pretty good spin-off of the first Knives Out. As you have, what's his name? No Time to Die actor. Oh yeah, Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig coming back as this detective trying to find out a mystery. And I like the way that this movie plays out. It finds a way to do a pretty great... It has a great cast in it with Dave Bautista and Edward Norton, which I'm so surprised that he's still acting to this day. And it was a good Netflix film. I really enjoyed it. It had nice history. It had a nice... It was just a really good movie. I don't really know what else to say. It's well acted. It had a nice mystery to it. You felt engaged, even though sometimes it kind of plays for a joke. But it's overall kind of just an entertaining piece of cinema. Now we have the first Knives Out, and I definitely say I enjoyed this film much more. as it feels more like an original type of film, as you're taking the genre of a murder mystery and trying to figure out who killed this person. And the way Rian Johnson just directed this movie was really good. The characters were fun. And what I love the whole cast that he brought together with this film, as they're trying to figure out who killed this person. When someone has information, they start chases, and when the big reveal happens with Chris Evans, it's powerful. Chris Evans' performance in this movie is actually pretty great. It's not Captain America, but it is more of Johnny Storm type performance. And even the way they do the detective stuff, as they're like trying to figure it out. So like, okay, so we're gonna get to this family member. Oh, okay, so we're gonna get this family member, and it does that uniquely. And I loved it, and I just loved it. I kind of thought it was gonna go like supernatural stuff, where you have this like chair made out of knives, and I was thinking like, is this some sort of magic house and the knives are gonna start pointing to people, or is that like something I saw in a trailer? But yeah, I do love this movie. I think it's very well made. So I finally was able to watch the Pulp Fiction, one of Quentin Tarantino's films, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What I appreciated about it are really the performances. Samuel L. and I don't know. Actually, I love the way that the story was told, where you have this one story with Tim Roth and this girl at a diner, and then you have John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson doing this investigation and trying to find out where this guy is. Then you have Ving Rhames and Bruce Willis at this bar, and the way that it does it, and then you have John Travolta going on a date. And what's so great about this is that every story is like everything. We understand that everything connects together, but the performances are great, and in every single little story that they're telling to us, they find a way to make you care about it. Like probably my two favorite stories of the bunch are the diner one that kind of starts off the movie but ends off the movie, and then you have John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson going to the guy's house, eating his cheeseburger, drinking the Sprite, and then saying, "Say what? God damn it! I dare you! I double dare you!" And then, of course, you got the one where John Travolta goes on a date with that girl, but then somehow dies by overdose, and then he has to go over to this other guy's house to save her. And you kind of care about that, because that's what would happen in real life, but like that's what makes you care about these characters. And when you finally get a saver, like, it's pretty powerful stuff, but it's not like this like triumphant thing. It's actually someone being revived back to life. And then we even have a story with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson again, and you have Quentin Tarantino in the film sing the N-word. The fact that this movie is able to have great performances, really clever storytelling, and it's able to combine together, and then you have Quentin Tarantino singing the N-word. I don't know if I would say that this is a positive, but it's kind of funny that that Hollywood allowed him to say that in this movie. It's pretty crazy. And then I also heard that Samuel L. Jackson was going to get effed in the butt, but I did not see that in the movie. All I saw that he got stripped down and then got new clothes or hosed. That's all he did. So, besides that, I think that this movie is really great. And I think next year I will do a celebration, a cinema review for it, because it is pretty great. So I finally watched Fight Club this past month, and I definitely thoroughly enjoyed it. What I really appreciated about this movie was really the style of filmmaking. This is the first David Fincher film that I watched. Granted, I unfortunately cannot do a David Fincher review series because I guess they pushed the release date back or something, or I saw it wrong. I thought it was coming out this past weekend, but it's actually coming out next weekend, November 10th, on Netflix. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Fight Club, but what I really loved is the narration of Edward Norton, as well as the style of filmmaking that David Fincher brought to this film. As you can just see of how everything correlates in the way Edward Norton's storytelling is, and having of this guy having insomnia, going to therapy, and then somehow this guy that he met, somehow he's become him. It's like, that's pretty crazy stuff. So it also just has great performances from Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, so it's a pretty great film. Now we have Run, and this was actually a film I watched because it's 16 on Sunday. It was the 16th anniversary of Hulu, so I thought I would check out one of Hulu's best original movies, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I definitely absolutely loved it. Well, basically, it's about this mother who has a daughter that is handicapped and has asthma and these other diseases that I don't remember, and the daughter starts to find out that she actually isn't sick, that her mom is just keeping her and to love her and doing all these terrible things, and realizes that's not her actual mom. And what I really loved about this movie was the performances and the way that the story was told, where you have, like, the way that this girl is able to act from doing these asthma stuff, but then just crawling on the floor as much as she can. Like, that seems pretty tough for an actor to do, if I'm being honest. Like, but it's a great performance in the way she's able to do that, and you're able to buy her as the handicapped girl, and even when she's shaking and she's crying, powerful performance. And then by the time you get to the end of the film, you thought the mom died, but she's in the hospital bed healing, and you hear her updating everything, and then you just you see her spit out some pills, and she's like, "I love you, Mom. Now open wide." And she basically gets to do what her mom has been doing to her all these years. So it's like, that's pretty crazy stuff. So overall, I loved Run. So this is the first Jordan Peele film that I watched, which is, of course, the first film he directed. And I thought this was a great film where it just established what kind of films Jordan Peele directs, where he can direct films that are horror based, but also have a mix of great comedy. But what makes this film so great is that as soon as the movie starts, you feel the tension of danger and suspensefulness. And it has a pretty good soundtrack. The performances of this movie with Daniel Kaluuya, as well as the guy that was in The Mill, as well as these other movies, he's pretty good too as playing the sidekick. And it makes you even feel uncomfortable when you enter. But honestly, it's a pretty good story, as you have this, what if a black guy was dating a white girl, and she brought him to her parents' house, and you just feel uncomfortable. Like, as soon as you meet the parents, you feel this uncomfortable tension with them. They're kind of charismatic, but it's an uncomfortable tension. And then you see all these servants around, but realize it's a white family with black servants. And you start to realize throughout the movie, there's other people that have been hypnotized by this. And it's a pretty messed up, but also creepy movie that just makes you so tense. And even the performances, like Daniel Kaluuya's performance, this might be his best performance ever. Like, when he's in the hypnosis chair and he's remembering the night when his mom died, and it flashbacks to when he's scratching the nails of the bed, and then he's scratching the pieces, the arms of the chair, and you just see him cry, and you feel uncomfortable because it's like, oh man, I don't like the sound of that. Like, that sounds ugh. But the performance of it is just so good, and it's like, I absolutely love the way that this film was directed. It's not a masterpiece, because I kind of feel like, what if you just killed all of them? Like, you just defeated all of them, and then you go off. Like, why kill some of them? But that's kind of what I think about it. Overall, I absolutely loved this movie, and that is my ranking for all 13 retro movies of 2023, of October 2023. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.